Hello, welcome to a cargo update. This is Irshad for you, and with us we have our special guest today, Andrew Moakes. He's a COO as well as co-founder of Evitado Technology.
Yep.
Welcome to our show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, today we'll have some chats on technology side of the aviation industry because we have been talking about digitalization, we have been talking about automations and sustainability. So it's evident that the aviation industry is changing these days, and it thinks about advancement, it thinks about innovations. And when it comes to technology, I think Evitado is one of the leading companies which can actually come into action for the solutions which the aviation industry is today longing for. So, how does Evitado's intelligent platform leverage automation to improve the efficiency and safety in airport operation, as well as what impact do you have for the entire aviation industry?
So, we started the entire company with the idea of trying to reduce the risks of accidents occurring during the towing operation of aircraft. And we did an analysis of a lot of different sensor types, a lot of different technology types that we could utilize to try to mitigate this risk. And we ended up landing on a sensor type that's called a three-dimensional LiDAR. It's essentially a laser-based sensor that is able to measure the environment in 3 dimensions. And this was a big advantage for us because we could easily then detect the aircraft in the space and then easily track things around the aircraft. And so LiDAR is being used in autonomous vehicles, robotic applications. And so right from the offset, although we weren't necessarily planning from the beginning to work towards AI or automation, we had a sensor type, a technology type that could take iterative steps towards autonomous movements, for example. That's how, eventually, right now we're not necessarily building our own autonomous vehicle. Our main goal is to try to reduce accidents during towing, but we will be working towards fully autonomous towing operations, for example.
And that's a great explanation. And what is the core technology behind the platform you're working for, airports especially?
Yeah, so we're trying to, over time, obviously reduce risk during pushback, for example, but we're also, looking to give airports better insights into the pushback operations in general. So being able to tell them exactly when a pushback starts, exactly when it stops, for example, how long that pushback happened. But I think what's even more interesting is being able to analyze over time how close objects during the pushback actually got to the aircraft. It's really easy for airlines, for ground operators to understand when an accident happens, for example, because there's physical damage, but they don't necessarily know how often certain objects come within a certain distance of the aircraft, and they don't understand most times when there's near misses. And so the platform that we're putting together can bring all that information together and can give them better insights into their overall risk.
So you have been serving French Air Force, and what is your expansion plan in other areas of the aviation sector?
Yeah, so we do actually have quite a number of customers at the moment. So as you mentioned, military is kind of one of the segments that we're aiming towards. But we're also doing, we have customers within the maintenance sector. We have a customer that is doing conversion, passenger to cargo, for example, aircraft. We even have a logistics company that is one of our customers, as well as airlines directly. And we're just in the process, we're trying to sign our first airport operator to start doing a longer term trial of our tests. The core, the basis of our technology, we're basically a LiDAR perception company. And so one of the things that we're doing is recognizing the aircraft from the sensor that we have. So now we're actually installing those sensors directly into the infrastructure, into a hangar, for example. And from there, we can start monitoring maintenance operations, such as flap extensions. We can monitor the movement of objects around the aircraft. We can even help the aircraft moving in and out of the hangar space. So we're taking the technology and trying to apply it in different ways.
So, being very new, I mean, the technology is new for people to understand, for industry to understand. So, how did you overcome these challenges of explaining this to the aircraft industries or the people who are actually your customers? How do you think you were able to overcome these challenges?
So I think we're still trying to figure out how to overcome it. It's always a challenge when you introduce a new technology into any industry. I think one of the best things is to try to turn the information into communicatable form that people understand in the end. So, and a lot of that for us is visual. So we're able to create a lot of visual information that we can show to people and explain to them how the software works, how the hardware works in general, and how we can then utilize it to best fit their needs. But we're still in the process of gaining a lot of customer feedback to figure out exactly how our product needs to look like in order to make it something that we can really scale. And so the customer base that we have now, we're working really closely with them to gain a lot of feedback and continue to make iterative changes to our product, our software, and our hardware in order to then take it kind of to the next level.
When it comes to collaboration, you have been collaborated with Airbus, you have been collaborated with Lufthansa Technique. How did it benefit the development of your company?
I mean, having those, both of those companies are based actually, they have bases in Hamburg. And so me and my co-founder, we actually met through the university in Hamburg. And as we started to determine if we wanted to try to pursue this idea, it was really beneficial that both of those companies were based in Hamburg. That was one of the reasons why we originally started the company there. But the biggest advantage was that they kind of opened their doors to us, and we had access to their facilities, we had access to their aircraft, and we could start developing the technology with them immediately, right? We could develop a technology in our own office, in our own labs, but until that technology is actually being used in the field, it's very difficult to understand, what the customer needs, how it's going to interact with the environment. And so having that access to their facilities, their personnel, and the aircraft there really kind of jump-started and accelerated the whole development process.
So you are speaking about efficiency, you are speaking about safety, and your primary focus is on that. So can you share some examples where you have, some of the success stories which you can share with us today on the subject?
Yeah. So I think, with the first product that we are releasing out there, the aim is, one, to reduce the risk of accidents occurring, but two, it's also about looking at the actual operation of towing. So typically, if you're moving an aircraft into a hangar, you need a lot of people to be able to watch it, monitor it, and give feedback during the actual movement. And one of the goals with implementing our technology is to try to reduce that number of people that you would require. Typically, the people monitoring that movement are then technicians. Sometimes they have to be pulled from other bays, for example, to come and monitor the movement. And so it's about reducing the number of people you would require for the movement and letting them go back and do the jobs that they would be doing otherwise.
Yeah. So one last question for you. How does your technology align with the broader industry trends and initiatives, maybe such as sustainable aviation and the modernization of airport infrastructure?
I mean, there's, I spoke yesterday and I was on the stage with Arrigo and Fraunhofer Institute. And so you can see there's a lot of topics around automation that are currently ongoing within the industry. And I think, we're just one of the players. We're focusing on the towing operation of aircraft, whereas, some of these other players are focusing on cargo handling. So I think we have a little bit of a jump with kind of a new movement type, so to say, on the ground. But overall, I think there's a lot of movement towards automation. There's a lot of focus. There have been many panel discussions and presentations during this event around automation. So I think automation on the air side and under the wing is coming. It's hard to say when exactly we'll see a fully autonomous airport, but I think each of the startups, each of the players who are developing autonomous vehicles are all going to play a part in that some way.
Yeah, great. How do you see yourself in coming years?
That's hard to say. I mean, I hope that Evitado is going to be around for a long time, And when Alex and I, first started Evitado, I don't think we imagined that we would even be where we are now. It's been quite a journey, and it's also evolved over time. And so I think there's really a bright future for what we're doing. There's definitely a bright future for automation within the aviation industry. And one of my goals is to be, create Evitado as being one of the leaders for automation in the industry.
Great. That's all for today. Thank you for being a part of our conversation.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. I appreciate it.
All the best.
Thanks.